Morning, everyone. My name is Yekang. I'm an associate professor of landscape architecture here at the University of Oregon, and I'm really delighted to have our wonderful panel today from three different universities to talk about designing the future global engagement in design education. So this panel comes from a group called APRU Sustainable Cities and Landscapes Hub, which is an initiative that the University of Oregon is leading globally. So in this panel, I'd like to start with a brief introduction and overview of what APRU SCL is doing and who we are. And also, all of our panels are the very active member of APRU SCL. And then we will have the panel discussion. And our panel also have a few slides that they can share. And we will have a panel discussion with 5 questions that we prepared. And I really want to make this panel to be really open. So any questions or anything that you would like to add, or any other global engagement opportunities that you have in your program or anything, yeah, feel free to chime in and share. All right. So just a little bit of introduction of APRU. So APRU is the Association of Pacific Rim Universities, which is a network of over 60 research-based leading universities across the Pacific Rim. So of course, in the United States, a lot of universities along the West Coast, like UCLA, UC San Diego, University of Washington, University of Oregon, UC Davis, and things like that. So we are the core member of this network. And also, we have a lot of members in China, Korea, Southeast Asia, and Australia, and New Zealand. So our goal is to really collaborate and co-produce actionable knowledge for positive policy impact across the Pacific Rim. So that's our main goal. So University of Oregon started hosting this hub as a hub from 2016, and so it's been more than 8 years. Yeah, 8 years that we have been leading this important initiative, given our reputation on our sustainable urban design and landscapes. So we started with like 7 members, and now we have over 21 members as our core members. And of course, our activities really welcome everyone from around the world. No matter where you come from, you don't have to come from Pacific Rim. Everyone can join. You don't have to be a member. But luckily, University of Oregon is the member and also leading this initiative. So we have quite a bit of resources to support our students and faculty to join this initiative. So we have 5 important key guiding principles in our hub. So first, we seek broad geopolitical representation across the Pacific Rim, and we acknowledge and respect the different understandings and contexts for sustainability, and we address the needs of the underrepresented communities and vulnerable populations, and we recognize climate change as a grand challenge for human societies and Earth system. And lastly but not least, we want our work to be really transformative beyond the typical types of academic outcomes. So to learn about and explore a place-based sustainability approach, we utilize our annual conferences every year across the Pacific Rim to learn about different approaches of sustainability in different places. So our inaugural conference was 2017 in Poland, and since then we had a conference in Hong Kong, and at that time we had a design field school hosted by University of Hong Kong in Eastern Java, Indonesia. And then in 2019, we had a Sydney hosted by UNSW, and at the time they partnered with the UN Refugee Agency to host this cities and refugee design competition. So every time whenever we have conference, we have associated student activities. So in Auckland, as you can see, it was in the middle of COVID, so we had to have in virtually. But we were able to gather together in Honolulu in 2022. And then and last year it was Quito and Galapagos in Ecuador. So it was really, I personally have been a fascinating opportunity for me to really see different types of culture and how they work on sustainability issues within their unique settings and geopolitical and environmental conditions. And so we, of course, have field trips, and also we offer student symposiums so that our students can present their work and get a really good feedback from our experts in sustainability, because I think getting an important feedback and also having a mentor outside of our university is really valuable. So that's what we have been doing so far. And the core of our SCL Hub is working groups. So our conference is not like a typical conference that you just sit and listen what other people say. You are actively being involved in these working groups. You sign up for the working group of your interest and really working with the other colleagues and students around the Pacific Rim to work on a specific issue of your interest. So this is for producing a more targeted outcome after the conference. We usually have publications or white papers or some kind of academic outcome after conferences. So, and this was one of the examples that each working group hosted a webinar. So we had a webinar series in 2021 during the COVID that they had. We have a great pool of speakers who can talk about various case studies across the Pacific Rim through all these topics that are related to Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations. You can still find that through our website and listen. And one of I think the proud outcome from our hub has been this Routledge handbook that Yizhao Yang here, 3PM faculty, and Ann Taufan from University of Washington, Tacoma, have co-edited with 116 authors from 38 institutions across the Pacific Rim. So this giant handbook included 64 chapters, and you can see like a variety of case studies around 10 different topics. So one thing that we are also doing for policy impact is this Asia Pacific Mayors Academy. So we are partnering with the United Nations, UN ASCAP and UN Habitat and other international organizations to train these mayors from the Asia Pacific region and to facilitate their peer learning to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. So some of our SCL instructors are serving as the instructor for this Asia Pacific Mayors Academy, and we also have students volunteer to help this online training and have been joining this initiative as well. Toward the end, so we have also this another virtual opportunity for called climate change simulation. So this is a virtual mock UN. You are representing a specific region. Like for example, I'm representing Turkey, for example, to think about their position in climate change negotiation, and so you can think of what would be different roles of different countries based on their own economic and socio-political situation. So this is a great opportunity that you can also engage from the University of Oregon and other APRU members. Another online course that we are offering in fall term is a Global Sustainability, Waste, and the City course, and also several of our speakers here are also serving as a guest speaker for this course. We are partnering with Nanyang Technological University, Korea University, and University of Oregon are co-hosting this course, so you can interact and engage these other students across the Pacific Rim. And so this will be offered this fall term if you are interested. And the good thing about this online course is not only you're engaging your like international peers, but also I found this course has a lot of speakers from industry like Google and like P&G or these big corporates and they talk about how they address sustainability in their ESG. So that's something that is rare opportunity that we can listen from those industries versus we have other opportunity to listen from like governments and things like that. So that's one thing that I can highlight. So we are currently running this biodiversity webinar series. So Fei Mo here from Shanghai Jiao Tong University has put a lot of efforts in initiating this this webinar series. So we are going to have a few more webinar around this biodiversity issue. So here we are making more like interdisciplinary discussion. So from design perspectives, from very scientific perspectives, so trying to integrate and bridge the science and design into around biodiversity. Related to biodiversity, so we are offering also this amazing summer abroad, study abroad opportunity in Galapagos, because our conference last year, Galapagos, was so fabulous and I felt it was once in a lifetime opportunity. So we decided to offer this summer program from this year and onwards. So you are welcome to sign up. If you haven't signed up this year, you will have opportunity for the following years. And Yizhao is one of the co-instructor for this school, and we have another faculty, architecture faculty from University of San Francisco, Tequiro. So you'll have a great opportunity to meet students from Ecuador, as well as also we have a few students joining from Hong Kong. So it will be a multicultural experience. And Yizhao will talk about this a little more later. And we are doing this Global Justice Speaker Series this year. So some of the HOPES speakers, HOPES lectures, like including Jeff and Ken and Polly's, and their lectures, and including this panel, is part of the Global Justice Speakers series. And we are going to have Andrienne Doyon from Simon Fraser University in May. She is a planner, so she's a planning director from Simon Fraser University in Vancouver, Canada. So she will be also talking about just nature-based cities in May. And we will have more speakers from Hong Kong, Hawaii, Philippines, and etc. in the next term. Finally, our annual conference this year is Manila, Philippines. So I think it's a really exciting opportunity to travel to Asia. It will be my first time to travel to Philippines. I'm really excited. I love to invite all of you to join us. And here are some of the ways to connect. So for student travel opportunities, again, we offer this Galapagos Field School from this year. And Yizhao is working hard to integrate research components here so that we can also provide more research-related funding opportunities for students. And this year, we have been securing certain funding to support our students to travel to our annual conferences every year. So last year, we supported four students, UO students, to travel to Galapagos. And this year, we secured 6,000, which means we can support 3 students and up to $2,000 each to travel to Philippines. So I really encourage you to apply for this travel award if you are interested in going to Philippines. And it will be in early August. And the faculty supports, we are inviting you to become a co-instructor of the Galapagos School for the next year or beyond. And we also have some funding for faculty travel. So if you want to be involved, we have up to like $1,000 support for the faculty. And you can also apply for our Global Studies Institute Faculty Research Travel Fund. They can also support you another up to $1,000. So that's it. And I think I'd like to give mic to Yizhao to talk about the Galapagos conference a little bit. Not conference.
Okay. This panel is about using international program to help students develop skills and better understand the sustainability related issues. So I want to begin with talking about two examples. One is this APRU undergraduate leadership program. I participated as faculty last year in Hong Kong, and I believe this year this program is hosted by Shanghai Jiaotong University. Oh yeah. Yeah. About same time. Yeah. So this particular program, I was very impressed with the student participation and also just the opportunities they had to be able to understand various issues related to sustainability. And you can see these 5 thematic areas that students were able to visit sites, listen, hearing speeches and discussion from leaders in different industries and government officials. So it's a very immersive experience for them. And also the program is designed in such a way that it highlights those 3 areas of skill training and capacity enhancement. So social innovation, design thinking, sustainability action, and competencies and agency. Students at the end had a chance to pick up an issue and then develop a solution and through teamwork, and they were able to present their project. The whole process kind of embody this idea of you have human or users at center, and you all your work is developed around considering what solution work for this particular group and how the users will be affected by your proposed strategies, and use the process of trial, experiment, and then testing to improve your solution, not necessarily getting to the prototyping process, but this whole design thinking approach I consider to be very, very effective for those students. Next one. So this one, you can just mention, I will be the faculty instructor for this summer study abroad program, and we will have 30+ students from different, at least 3 different universities and all across different backgrounds. I had the opportunity to meet some students yesterday. They're all very eager, excited about going on to this trip. So you can see the objectives of this program, and the approach that I will be working with a colleague from USFQ is similar to this, what we call design thinking and knowledge co-production and an immersive learning approach. So students will be able to work with local community members, help them, not necessarily help them, but is in the process help themselves, and also the local stakeholders to co-produce the knowledge, understanding the connection between human activities and their environment impact, and then the long-term sustainability for this region. So we hope this program will be another addition to APRU's SCL's portfolio in terms of offering students very like lifelong impactful learning opportunities or experience.
Great, thanks.
Pass along to Jeff.
And yeah, so Jeff also has a few slides to introduce some of the programs in UW, and we really encourage our students to also take advantage of this UW study abroad programs. And we, at least like landscape architecture program, we have this cross exchange that we can, give credits for UW design study abroad. Where is the full view? Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to share with you all just a few slides and to kind of give you a sense of the kind of study abroad program that we offer at University of Washington through the College of Built Environments and Department of Landscape Architecture. And so these are some of the places that we have been going over the last decade. So some of our programs are administered through our departments. Some are done in collaboration with other departments. So in a way, the study abroad program also offer an interdisciplinary experience for students. So architects, landscape architects, planners, taking the program together, and that's really and then going abroad, to visit projects that represent kind of intersection of all these different disciplines. So just to highlight some of the examples, we have done design build projects in Guatemala. So we have a very active design build faculty member who travels everywhere, and Guatemala was kind of one of the earlier kind of study abroad design build programs. And in recent years, the focus has shifted to Eastern Europe. So we have done projects in Bosnia, in Croatia, working with local kind of mental health clinic, and working with post-war victims and people experience trauma during the war, and focusing on kind of therapeutic environments for the users. We have also we have done some of the program they move around different places. We have also a program that focus on one particular community for a sustained kind of period of time. So the informal settlement in Peru is one of the places that our faculty have come back, and faculty and students have kind of gone back over and over to work with the same community. So improving school grounds for local school, coming up with kind of low tech solution to deal with the lack of fresh water in the region in Lima, and so we done some of the experiments on campus in Seattle, and then students get to have the opportunity to implement the design in Lima. And then again we focus on the same community for extended period of time. So building on previous projects. With the fog collectors, the next project was to build the water storage system, right? And combined with recreational spaces for the local population. And then moving from Lima to Iquitos, Peru, in the Peruvian Amazon, working with this kind of amphibian community to figure out a solution that would address issues of health and sanitation. And then we have expanded the operation to Cambodia. This is one project that our former colleague Ben Spencer has done in Phnom Penh. And then for several years, I also run my own program in Asia. So the Asian Urbanism Exploration Seminar, which is actually a university-wide program. So we have students coming from all over campus. And this particular picture was taken at the hotel in Osaka that housed the formerly unhoused people in the city. And so it's a great experience for students to really kind of immerse themselves into a different culture and different environment, to actually talk, engage with people, dealing with a lot of struggles on their own. And again, great opportunity for students to learn. All right, so that's just a few slides for so maybe a discussion later to kind of to provide context.
Oh, great. Oh, you can bring this.
Oh, okay.
Great, thanks. Yeah, so many options. And I know you all also, your architecture and also 3PM provide lots of study abroad programs as well. And Mark is preparing something for next summer, right? Would you like to share?
Yeah. So we have a grant to study building integrated urban agriculture, and with that grant, we have funds for students to support going abroad and learning from other cultures that have done this already. And so we'd love to go to Singapore, is where we're planning to go, and with Yekang's support, saying, hey, think about connecting through this organization and this network of collaborators. So Yeah, that's the plan, is to go there in the summer of 2025. But already, really, we want to build that collaboration, and this sounds like a terrific way to do that through this organization. So I'd love to know more, because I'm still trying to figure out how to make that happen. The idea of collaboration is great, but the actual mechanics sometimes can be difficult to make happen.
Awesome. Yeah. This seems like a really valuable opportunity, especially you already have a research grant to support students. So this seems like really amazing. Yeah.
We also have collaborators in Oregon State and Washington State in horticulture, and so they've started connecting with their collaborators already abroad, and so they're going to be coming. So we'll have horticulture students as well as architecture students that we plan to bring.
Awesome. So we will move on to the panel discussion now, and with our 5 panel. So here, Yizhao from University of Oregon, Jeff Howe from University of Washington, soon to be National University of Singapore, and still part of APRU, which is great, and Kory Russel from University of Oregon, and Fei Mo from Shanghai Jiao Tong University, and Ken Yocom from University of Washington. So we have 5 questions. So since we have about like 25 minutes, maybe each question like for 5 minutes or less, because we want to have a Q&A as well. So maybe for each question, I'd like to ask a volunteer, like who want to answer each question. So I hope everyone have at least one opportunity to answer one question. So the first question is global perspectives in design education. So how do international experience, like participating in field schools and study abroad programs, shape the approach and mindset of design students? And can you share some specific examples of how these experiences have influenced design projects? Okay.
So building off of some of what Jeff showed in terms of our own departmental and college and universities' approaches to study abroad programs, I think one of the characteristics that really emerged from those examples was how much the programs that we're really putting forward embed themselves within communities. And when I say embed themselves, I mean ask for permission to be part of those communities and to work with those communities. To help them understand some needs that they might have, and to then explore opportunities in which our students in a relatively short period of time can both engage and learn and offer assistance in some way. And I think that's a critical aspect of studying abroad. There's definitely other models and other approaches to do it. The work that we do within our department is very community engaged and community focused. Kind of when we have classes in Seattle and we're translating that into a global context. I think the examples for student learning are huge. So if Daniel Winterbottom's design build projects in Sweden or in Bosnia or Guatemala, for example, the students not only learn the practice of how to engage and work with materials and construct, but they are embedded within the communities for how do they help to make lunch for everybody within the community, or for living in homestays, or other components, really understanding or getting introduced to the communities, the culture, and the people that are in these spaces. I think that's a huge opportunity for students. I think that's something that we probably all recognize and understand, but it is definitely something that you can build into the pedagogy of these types of programs throughout.
Awesome. Anyone want to add? Okay.
I just wanted to add something about this term design. From my own perspective, I feel like design here is broadly defined as anything is out through an innovative process. It could generate product, so it doesn't have to be a built project. It could be a design of a computer app, could be a design of social program, a design of policies. So this this broad definition includes all of our students in this our fields, multiple fields into the process. One of the observation I made last year was students working from different fields. So teams of the students in Hong Kong, they're from computer science, architecture, geography, some of them from social studies. They all work together. I think because of those different perspectives allow them to see things differently, but then what unifies them together is this user oriented. So they are working for somebody who is not necessarily based on their own preference, but they need to understand what the user wants. So this generally needs understanding and empathy with users and user-oriented design and then experimentation process. I feel is very, very helpful to the students, regardless their background.
Yeah.
I just want to add maybe kind of one specific context in which I think study abroad experience has been very, very helpful for our students. So like in Seattle, for example, that we have a lot of firms that are doing international work, but the folks at the firm don't necessarily have a lot of international experience, and so having the student, like going abroad and understanding all these different contexts, right, and realizing that the solution that we offer may not be the right one, or that the necessity of working with the locals, right, practitioners, local community, and I think I help them to develop this kind of critical lens into like their future practice and their career. So that is a very specific example.
Right. Great. We have more questions. Second. Collaboration across borders. So with 21 universities involved in Sustainable Cities and Landscapes Hub, so what are some of the key challenges and successes in fostering collaboration across diverse cultural and educational landscapes? And how does this collaboration contribute to the educational outcome of design students?
Yeah, I can talk about that a bit. I would say that it's a lot of times you'll hear in the first couple years when students come in and start working in groups, this sort of idea, oh, I hate group work. And I'm like, well, welcome to life. It's so key, and collaboration, especially when you're talking about international work, is absolutely paramount, because as has been mentioned a couple different times, going into a community and imposing a design on that usually leads to really negative outcomes. And so learning to and getting exposed to collaboration is, I think, one of the most key skills that students can take away from higher education. And in addition to that, it is that much more difficult to do collaboration when you're working with multicultural, intercultural differences, right? Because it's one thing if you're, architects talking to landscape architects, or, you're talking to a chemist, right? You're speaking different languages, but you're all sort of working on the same page, right? Culturally, it's not different. But there can be massive differences in how meetings are run, how you address people. All of these things lead to successes or failures, right? Currently, I'm a part of a big consortium of universities. We've been doing research in South Africa, Kenya, Peru. We were working in Haiti, but Haiti's sort of been shelved for a little bit. And when we have meetings, it's a melting pot of different, and we have universities in Europe that are on this as well. And learning how to work across those different styles of taking the time to just understand how people work and not becoming offended when something doesn't go exactly as you had planned it or thought, and being flexible and those sorts of things, I think, is really, really key. And so that's why I think getting exposure early and often to that sort of thing can lead to some significant success in the future. And like Jeff was saying, with a lot of these international companies don't have experience working internationally, and so that is a key sort of aspect, I think, that employers are looking for as well.
Hi everyone. It's very nice to have me here. Personally, I started to do international design competition when I was year 3 undergraduate student. I spent about 1 month in Paris. That was the starting point of my international experience, which I believe brought me here today. So according to the question here, I think there are several things I would address. First is cultural sensitivity, which we really need to help our students develop that, because you will feel the barriers normally are not coming from your special majors or your expertise, but how you work or communicate with others, how to reduce the communication cost, which is actually very challenging. According to my experience working with APRU, I just feel every time I reach out to the local faculties in different schools, we just cannot get in smoothly. Even though I have working for international affairs more than 10 years so far. It's just a different way of working and how people communicate. That's the first thing you need to overcome. The second thing is how you understand nature from different cultural contexts. That's something we taught a lot in landscape history or landscape design, but actually students without experience cannot understand that personally. So I assume most of you understand or heard about the word called internationalization at home. That's something I spent years doing research on that. Students don't need to go abroad, but you can improve your internationalization level just through study at home country. But what's the difference is you don't have that real experience. You still learn something, let you feel there's a veil just in between. So that's 2 things I would highlight. But for APRU, it's very powerful to promote things through the network. There's different layers which we cannot achieve through individual university. Like my colleague who just brought about 10 master students go to Australia last October, we tried to develop exchange programs at a course level. So we also have their students come. And normally my university have a global challenger programs. We fund about 7 projects per year. Students and faculties need to reach out at least 3 continents. And you need to have mutual outcomes together. That's very successful, so it's kind of our main outputs. I'm not sure if I answered the questions. Yeah, but I just hope to highlight some points I feel really significant. Yeah.
Great.
I think within the context of my experiences through APRU and in the SCL, I've been fortunate to be in the leadership of two different working groups. One's the Waterfronts group for a couple of years, and then over the past couple of years, I've been working with Faye in the biodiversity group. The collaboration is not easy. We all know that. And it's also really challenging when we're pulling across a network of predominantly individuals who are experts or understood as experts in their field and are in like high responsibility positions already at home, and then to try and foster and build engagement across the Pacific can be really challenging, and that can be around time or just accessibility or a willingness to engage, or what we often find is an ability to engage at different times that don't always overlap. And so sometimes, for example, I will have too much responsibilities on my plate so that I can't necessarily engage with the APRU work, while others are free at that time. And so really trying to navigate through those. And when I was working with Anne in the Waterfronts group, one of the pieces that we were constantly pushing as part of that, because we were running into those experiences quite a bit, was just to push forward as much patience and empathy as we could as we were trying to move programs forward and move them and work with people when they were available to work with them, develop an overall trajectory collectively as we could, and then move that trajectory forward while integrating people as they came to the table and kind of work through that. And that type of a model was really successful. It's a lot slower than other, say, research engagements or scholarship engagements, but was a process that actually helped us to build a strong community of folks from a wide range of different disciplines that were really interested in understanding urban waterfront redevelopments and the transitions that were happening on urban waterfronts that weren't just about the line between land and water, but really understanding them as a zone of exchange and interchange, everything from economics to ecology, and through that.
I think the striking example of that would be the giant handbook that Yizhao edited, like herding like 116 authors to publish a book. Although we had like 10 section editors, but I think that was like a...
But this wouldn't be able to come to information without the support from the and also strong leadership. Like they are seeing the value of having this scholarship outcome as a recognition of our work and also as incentive for people to come work more on these topics. Yeah.
The plug for tomorrow. So Polly Olson sitting in the back there, and I work on a collaboration that's not across the Pacific, and it's in one location. It's on our University of Washington campus. But what we're going to talk about tomorrow is kind of the struggles and successes of collaborations when we're working across different cultural contexts, different ontologies of how to engage with research and understand place. So I invite you to come to hear about that tomorrow at 10.
Yeah, tomorrow at 10 here. Yeah. Next question. So impact on SDGs, so UN Sustainable Development Goals. So the hub focuses on place-based design strategies aligned with United Nations SDGs. So can panelists discuss the projects or initiatives that have effectively integrated SDG targets into their design curriculum? And what outcomes were observed and what lessons were learned?
So I can speak to this question using the example that Yekang and we co-designed this class. Right now it's taught at 200 level for it's titled Global Perspectives to on Sustainable Cities and Landscape. And SDG framework, these 17 goals and 169 targets are used as this unifying theme for us to organize about 7 or 8 different thematic topics, and we have invited, I think Ken contributed one case study on topic on urban biodiversity, and we are in the process of expanding the case studies by inviting our APRU members to make contribution. So I have to say, when I taught this for first time, and I did realize how little SDG related discussion is integrated in curriculum in the US. I have students from different background, planning, architecture, landscape architecture, environment studies, geography, even business schools. So those terms definitely not on the typical kind of a textbook or curriculum materials. But introducing those very comprehensive framework does allow students to see the connections, the interlinkages of many different things, and allow them to evaluate, become more critical in terms of evaluating any solution they want to put forward. Say, well, this is worked for economic development, but how does it be evaluated from a social justice perspective, from an environmental sustainability perspective? So I feel like in terms of improving student analytical capacity, that SDG framework is very, very valuable.
Yeah. So just I can add a little bit. So Yizhao and I are currently making effort to regularize this course as a core education course for global engagement. So it will be a undergraduate course, and so you'll be able to learn all these SDGs and more international perspectives. That's our goal. And I had a short conversation with Kat Rolla from 3 p.m. here about, our, especially in the US and especially as a state university, a lot of our, the curriculum focuses on the Oregon, state of Oregon, and examples from Oregon, and which is great. We are fortunate to use Oregon landscapes as a laboratory, but at the same time, being exposed to other perspectives and other cultural and environmental perspectives, I think that would be also very invaluable. So that's what we are trying to kind of add to our curriculum.
And we will be offering in the fall.
Yeah. We are hoping to offer twice a year. So one from Yizhao, one from me. So, and you will meet a lot of SEL speakers from this course. And so student opportunity. So what specific opportunities does SEL Hub offer students? How can students maximize their engagement and learning from these opportunities? Are there any upcoming projects or partnership that students should be aware of? I think I kind of mentioned in my presentation, but if you have any additional. And especially Jeff, I think you in your working group, you had many students, like graduate students who participated and, making publications. And so any examples, yeah.
So no immediate project right now, but we're hoping that the gathering at Manila would give us an opportunity to, develop a project to work on together. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So for example, from the last year conference from Galapagos, we are working on a book called Human Galapagos with Springer. So, and we have a couple of student co-authors for our chapters. So we are open to invite students to be part of the publications and, writing together. Last question. So future of design education. So looking forward, how do you see the role of global engagement evolving in design education, particularly in context of sustainable urban design and planning? And what changes and innovations would you like to see to better prepare students for the challenges of the future? Yeah, I think you kind of covered, but if you could highlight a little bit more about that, like changes or innovations that we could make further to make it better. Anyone has any?
I just wanted to comment real quickly on the last question, actually. And it's a really small example, but it was in Hong Kong, the conference, the APRU SEL conference in Hong Kong. One of the I was working within the waterfronts group, and so we had several students that were involved in our program, and one student who came to us from Manila, from the Philippines, his name's Aaron Lachance, and he was really, he was coming from an architecture background, really interested in understanding the changes for his own community and starting to think through that. Well, from those conversations, Ann and I stayed in touch with Aaron, and now I guess 4 or 5 years later, he's now a PhD student that Ann and I are working with at the University of Washington. Wow. So we were able to continue to develop those conversations and actually build out opportunities for him to come to the United States and to study in the United States. That's a really small example, but I do think it is one of those opportunities that are created from this type of trans-Pacific collaboration that we have going on.
Yeah, my PhD student Yongso Yu also got really benefit from this mentoring program that we provided. So he was matched with another external faculty from University of Hawaii about the experts who were in his dissertation topic, and he got so much insights from McKenna Kaufman, one of our members, about how his dissertation could make more meaningful implications and things like that. Because you talk to your faculty all the time, but other outsiders have another perspectives as well. So, yeah.
In terms of this question, I'll just jump in really quickly, and it actually builds off things that Jeff was talking about yesterday and what Matt was talking about this morning. So much of design education tends to be focused on the outcomes or the products that's created, and many of us that work within that field now actively try and push away from that as much as possible, but there's a lot of pressure, quite honestly, from the profession about the products or what are the outcomes from that work, where what's most important really is the process you get. The processes you use to get towards those outcomes. We often talk about it within our department that we're not designing for solutions, we're designing we're developing design education for opportunities. And through searching for opportunities and seeking and working towards opportunities, we're creating solutions along the way. But that's not our end point. It's to create more and more opportunities as we begin to move forward. And I think it's a really critical shift in the pedagogical approaches, but also the framings for design education and planning education, quite honestly, that would be extremely helpful as we begin to look forward to kind of next generation of planners and designers that are going to have to engage in a world that's rapidly changing.
I can't agree with you more.
Yeah, just to add to this particular question, in terms of how like global engagement might evolve in design education, I think especially after COVID, given like the technology that we have to connect more easily with like students and faculty abroad, I think it would be interesting to see how we can really kind of leverage that, so that global engagement is not just like going abroad, right, and spend like 2 weeks or a month in one place, but how can we begin to kind of hybridize things that we can do at home, and with things that we can do on site, and how can we begin to kind of sustain those relationships beyond just the time we spend on the site, right? So that these collaboration and exchange can continue beyond just that short period of time when we are all together face to face. And so I think that would be an interesting kind of model to really kind of examine and develop.
Yeah.
Yeah, really to echo what Ken just said. The process is the focus of where students gain their experience. And there's also kind of for us to critically think about what are the roles played by us as faculty and students in that process. It's very often for us to come into a community feel like, oh, we know a lot and we're here to help you. That mindset I feel needs to be adjusted, because we are here really trying to develop this understanding of the users, the community's needs, and then solutions. And then the process toward generally the solution is to put them center in front. And then no better experience or gaining the understanding is going to the community, live with them, embed yourself with the community environment. And this also means actually not just community itself, you have to understand the community itself is embedded in a much larger context. It's very often look at student proposed suggestion or proposed solutions that, have you thought about the financial part? Is it even feasible for you to propose this solution, even if something like everybody desire? So there's a much more or less for us to students to think beyond their own discipline and also learn from other perspective, other considerations. So that embeddedness and also user, we are in a more of a supportive role that I feel like it's getting more and more important for us to understand. Yeah.
Thank you. The time is up, and we want to make sure that we also have some questions, time for questions. Does anyone have a question? Michael?
I have a big question, which we're probably not going to have time to answer here because lunch is starting. But I'm a big proponent of study abroad for all the reasons you're talking about. I've taken students to East Africa for about 15 years and have great respect for a lot of the programs. I would love, and maybe we can do this more informally, to understand more about how you're preparing students for the savior mentality that's behind a lot of students wanting to do this work and the colonial history that's embedded within it, which is sort of the focus of my research, is on how we can do this in ways that are responsible. But I always get very concerned, especially when I hear about a short trip, if there's not some significant preparation. And I'd love to know how you're approaching that with students who there's no way to be prepared to go and work with the community in an international context without a lot of preparation and not be at risk of having some damage. So you're welcome to answer now, or we can talk another time. But just it's very much in my mind as I'm listening.
Sorry about that. I can say from my experience with that, it is a real thing, like that you're saying, that the potential for damage is, and so I think having one of the things that I, working in a lot of the places that I have is that you create sort of a platform with the long-term relationship with the professors or the folks that are going on a regular basis. So that can then not feel like students parachuting in. But I think what you're asking more specifically is this idea of the student themselves. How are they engaging in a way? Because they are parachuting in, right? And the vast majority of the benefit of short trips like this, it really accrues to the students themselves, right? Because it's that exposure, it's getting to experience those new sort of places, feelings, understanding that the way they've been thinking about something can totally be blown up and thought about differently, all those sorts of things. Hugely valuable, but can be very damaging to a community that's engaged improperly. I think one of the things, and I think Ken actually hinted at this a little bit, and Yizhao as well, and this idea that in the past, design education has really sort of been, and for lack of a better term, the Starchitect model, right? Where I have this expertise and I am passing down this wonderful product, service, policy, whatever it may be, that you are all very happy to have received, right? And changing that mindset to, as a designer, yeah, we do have a little bit of expertise here or there, or that sort of thing, but it's much more about a facilitation. It's much more about going into communities in a very humble way and being there to learn, and just asking questions, much more of an anthropological approach of, I'm an outsider, I don't know the situation, tell me, inform me, and then we can have a conversation about what some solutions down the line could mean. That's been sort of my approach to thinking that through, and I think I've noticed that, especially with, there was a lot of mention about user-centered design and human-centered design and those sorts of things, where you start out with context and empathy and really trying to bring those into a model, as opposed to this sort of legacy of people showing up with their solution to all your problems, right? That just, it doesn't work, and it's super damaging, so yeah.
Just to add to that, I think this is a very important question. I think applies not just to the global context, but also to like a lot of the local work as well. When we go into a community, I think there is still this kind of hierarchy and disparity that no matter what kind of where you go, and then the challenge here is that we oftentimes we just don't have the time to prep the students before going into the field. So a lot of the work that we do is actually happening in the field, right? So I think there are opportunities to structure a program in a way that you can sensitize students to this, like this disparity and differences, and that's kind of oftentimes kind of what we ended up focusing on. So given the limitation of how much preparation that can happen before going to the field.
I think our time is, maybe you're hungry. So thank you so much for coming. I know you're very busy with so many other things going on in your life, but thanks for coming to listen to us. And feel free to reach out to me or any other panels here for any questions or any opportunities that you're seeking. I'm more than happy to help you. All right, thank you so much.